Ayo, what's that, Nathan?
It's nothing, just don't press it.
Hi there, it's your boy Gigafish here. This is my first video, so let's see how this goes. Today we're talking about the most gruesome space death incidents in history. So let's begin. Number 6. X-15 Flight 36597. In 1967, Major Michael J. Adams stepped into the cockpit of the X-15, a rocket plane that flew faster than a bullet and higher than any aircraft before it. This wasn't a space shuttle. It was a metal spear strapped to a rocket engine, designed to pierce the edge of space and bring its pilot back alive. On November 15th, Adams launched on what should have been a routine test flight, climbing to 266,000 feet, over 50 miles above Earth. At that altitude, the sky turns black, the curvature of Earth becomes visible, and you're technically in space. But as he began descent, a minor guidance glitch caused the aircraft to veer off course. Trying to correct it, Adams found himself in a deadly tumble. The X-15 began to spin and roll violently at Mach 5 over 3,800 miles per hour. The forces on his body were unimaginable, up to 15 Gs, enough to crush bones, rupture organs, and blur consciousness. At 65,000 feet, the aircraft could take no more. It tore apart in midair, erupting into a rain of debris across the Mojave Desert. What was left of Adams was barely recognizable. Fragments of body and wreckage scattered over 50 square miles. Investigators said the breakup was so violent, recovery crews could only collect small charred pieces of both the plane and the man. There was no ejection seat, no backup system, no second chance. NASA quietly acknowledged the accident in technical memos, but this wasn't a headline they wanted repeated. Adams had made it to space, and then space devoured him. He was posthumously awarded astronaut wings, yet his name remains mostly forgotten, a grim footnote in the pursuit of the stars. In the end, Michael Adams became a tragic symbol of what it truly means to push the limits, and what happens when those limits push back. Number 5. The Soyuz 1 incident. In the heat of the Cold War and the space race, the Soviet Union was desperate to make a bold move, so they launched Soyuz 1, their brand new spacecraft, despite knowing it had over 200 design flaws. Flying that mission was Vladimir Komarov, a respected cosmonaut and national hero. The tragic twist? Komarov knew the spacecraft was faulty. He reportedly told friends he wouldn't survive, but still chose to fly, because if he backed out, his replacement would be his close friend Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space. Komarov couldn't let that happen. On April 23, 1967, Soyuz 1 launched. Almost immediately, things started going wrong. A solar panel failed to deploy, power systems dropped, and the ship began to tumble in orbit. Still, Komarov fought to stabilize it and somehow managed to line up for re-entry. But just kilometers from the ground, the final catastrophe struck. His parachutes failed. The backup chute got tangled, and the capsule slammed into the Earth at deadly speed. Komarov was killed on impact, becoming the first person to die during a space mission. His sacrifice exposed flaws in the Soviet space program and ultimately led to major improvements, but the price was steep. Komarov's death wasn't just a technical failure. It was the story of a man who flew a doomed mission to protect a friend and paid the ultimate price. Number 4. The Soyuz 11 incident. In 1971, the Soviet Union achieved what no one else on Earth had done. They sent 3 cosmonauts aboard Soyuz 11 to successfully dock with Salyut 1, the world's first space station. For 23 days, Georgy Dobrovolsky, Viktor Petsayev, and Vladislav Volkov lived and worked in orbit, running experiments, making observations, and pushing the limits of long-duration spaceflight. Back home, the mission was hailed as a triumph. But no one knew it was about to end in horror. After finishing their mission, the crew undocked and began their descent back to Earth. Everything looked normal. Re-entry was smooth, the capsule landed on schedule in Kazakhstan, and the world waited to welcome home heroes. But when the recovery team opened the hatch, they were hit with a horrifying scene. All 3 cosmonauts were dead, their bodies still strapped into their seats, eyes open, faces discolored. So what happened? Investigators discovered that a small pressure equalization valve had accidentally opened just after the separation from the orbital module, causing the cabin to depressurize in under a minute. The crew didn't have pressure suits. They had no chance. They suffocated in space, dying silently during what should have been a safe return. It was the only time humans have died in the vacuum of space itself. Their death sent shockwaves through the Soviet program and the entire space community, forcing urgent changes in design and safety protocols, most critically requiring cosmonauts to wear suits during launch and landing. Soyuz 11 was meant to be remembered for achieving the first manned space station mission. Instead, it became a tragic reminder that space, for all its wonder, is utterly unforgiving. Number 3. The Apollo 1 catastrophe. Imagine this. It's January 27, 1967. The US is locked in a fierce race with the Soviet Union to land a man on the moon, and NASA is preparing for the first crewed mission of the ambitious Apollo program. The spacecraft, designated AS-204 but later named Apollo 1 in honor of the lost crew, is on the launch pad at Cape Kennedy. Inside the command module are 3 highly respected astronauts. Gus Grissom, a veteran of Mercury and Gemini missions, Ed White, the first American to walk in space, and rookie astronaut Roger Chaffee, eager for his first flight. They're running a plugs-out test, essentially simulating every part of the launch sequence, minus the actual liftoff. It's supposed to be routine, but what happens next is nothing short of devastating. At 6:31 p.m., without warning, a fire erupts inside the spacecraft. The cabin is pressurized with 100% oxygen, highly flammable, and the spark, likely from a frayed wire or faulty connection, spreads like wildfire. In less than 20 seconds, the entire capsule is an inferno. The crew struggles to open the inward opening hatch, which is impossible to remove quickly under the internal pressure. The ground crew tries desperately to get to them, but it's already too late. Smoke billows from the capsule, and the fire claims all 3 astronauts' lives in a matter of moments. The tragedy shocked the nation and sent NASA into a full halt. Investigations revealed serious flaws in the spacecraft's design, including flammable materials, poor wiring, and that deadly, pure oxygen atmosphere. It was a brutal lesson, but one NASA took seriously. They redesigned the command module from the ground up. New materials, better hatch design, and much stricter safety protocols. The mission was never flown, but it became a turning point. Apollo 1's loss wasn't in vain. It led to a safer space program and ultimately to the success of Apollo 11 and the moon landing. Number 2. The Challenger disaster. It's the morning of January 28, 1986, and all eyes are on the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The Space Shuttle Challenger is about to launch, and there's a buzz across the nation. Why? Because this mission isn't just another NASA flight. It's carrying Krista McAuliffe, a schoolteacher who was chosen from over 11,000 applicants to be the first civilian and teacher in space. Classrooms across America are tuned in. Kids, teachers, families, everyone is watching, waiting to see this historic moment. Liftoff happens right on schedule, and for the first 73 seconds, everything looks perfect. But then, tragedy strikes. The shuttle suddenly explodes in midair, breaking apart into pieces, with smoke trails crisscrossing the sky. It's a moment of pure shock and confusion. Broadcasters fall silent. No one can believe what they're seeing. The cause was later traced back to a small rubber O-ring in one of the solid rocket boosters that failed due to the unusually cold temperatures that morning. Just 36 degrees Fahrenheit. That failure allowed hot gases to leak out and led to the destruction of the external fuel tank. What makes it even worse is that engineers had warned NASA about the potential dangers of launching in such cold weather, but their concerns were overruled. All 7 crew members, including McAuliffe, were killed instantly. The disaster rocked the nation and forced NASA to completely rethink how it handled safety, risk, and decision-making. It grounded the shuttle program for nearly 3 years and became a turning point in space exploration history. The Challenger disaster wasn't just a technical failure, it was a human tragedy. Number 1. The Columbia disaster. Let's rewind to February 1, 2003. It's supposed to be a triumphant homecoming for NASA's Space Shuttle Columbia after a 16-day science mission in orbit. The crew of 7 astronauts, including the first Indian-born woman in space, Kalpana Chawla, are just minutes away from landing. Families and fans are waiting, cameras are rolling, but something's off. As Columbia re-enters Earth's atmosphere, it suddenly breaks apart over Texas, scattering debris for miles and killing all 7 crew members instantly. What caused it? Turns out, A piece of foam insulation broke off during launch and struck the shuttle's left wing, damaging the heat shield. NASA knew about the foam strike but didn't fully understand the severity, and didn't act. When Columbia re-entered at thousands of degrees, hot gases tore through the damaged wing and ripped the shuttle apart. The disaster rocked NASA to its core. It exposed deep flaws in safety culture, communication, and risk management, eerily similar to what happened with Challenger 17 years earlier. It was a devastating reminder that even after decades of spaceflight, there's still no such thing as routine when you're flying through space. That's all, guys. See you next time. And always remember, men only gets flowers when they die.